Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. There's a lot of people having discussions, trying to understand what's going on with Terence Crawford. Why is he not in the ring? Why is he not fighting Errol Spence? Well, we've had a lot of conversations about it. There were some speculations, some assumptions, and there's some predictions, right? But what we know now, according to Stephen Espinoza, is kind of along the lines of the things that we were touching on. Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, the reason why the fight's not happening is because Errol Spence just has a lot going on with him physically. From the eye injury to other things that, precluding him from getting in the ring with Terence Crawford. Errol Spence just needed a certain amount of time to get himself back to being 100%. Now, there's all kind of rumors about, well, he doesn't have a trainer, X, Y, and Z. I don't know how true that is. But what I'll tell you is, when Errol Spence gave Terence Crawford the opportunity to fight for undisputed, it's like I said on this channel, I truly believe because of that relationship that they formed going into that first fight, I truly believe Terence Crawford, very, very appreciative of Errol Spence giving him that opportunity. And that's why Terence Crawford was willing to sit back and say, hey, this isn't ideal for me to after this win against you, Errol Spence, for us not to have the rematch here within 120 days or by December like we talked about. But if you have, the eye injury and you have some more healing you need to do as a result of the fight, hey, if it goes beyond the 6-month mark, 8-9-month mark, I'm willing to try to work with you, just out of respect for what you did for me in changing my life, my family's life. But what happened is, it got to the point to where Crawford and Spence were talking. You see what I'm saying? Because they were on the phone with each other. Errol Spence wanted to have his rematch with Terence Crawford. He wanted to fight him. Terence Crawford wanted to give Errol Spence the opportunity to have the rematch and try to get a victory. But Errol Spence and Terence Crawford were talking, and they both realized, you know what? It's not really fair to hold up Terence Crawford for a year or more waiting for this rematch because Errol Spence has things going on with him that are beyond his control, and he's not really sure when he's going to be back in the ring. So they actually sorted it out. Like they sorted things out to make the fight happen, there was no big wigs involved in that. It was Crawford and Spence talking on the phone to make it happen. And they've continued to have that professional relationship where Crawford and Spence have continued to have conversations on the phone to try to figure out what's going to be the way ahead for both of them. So once they realized the rematch probably isn't going to happen, that's when Errol Spence and Crawford said, it's probably best to just not hold you up, Crawford, and you go on out there and fight. And that's where you see now Terence Crawford out here, back out here surveying the welterweight and 154-pound landscape and just seeing what his next move is going to be. So that's why the rematch fell apart. It had nothing to do with Terence Crawford not wanting to give Errol Spence an opportunity. It had nothing to do with Errol Spence being afraid. It had nothing to do with, hey, we want more money. Nothing to do with, hey, I'm the A side, Crawford being complicated. Nothing. What happened is Errol Spence he had a lot going on with him physically, and he just wasn't ready. And who knows when he'll be ready. But they were able to be amicable and come together with the professional relationship they formed. And they agreed that it's not fair for Terence Crawford to remain in a holding pattern when he can be out here active and fighting. Now, one thing I will tell you is Terence Crawford was really trying. Let me. I might as well put it in this video, right? Let me tell you something that I know that some of y'all may not know. I'm going to tell you something about Terence Crawford. Okay? So, Terence Crawford, as of right now, is having negotiations with Tim Tszú's people and I believe he's probably conversating with Fundora's people as well. Now, Tim Tszú's manager has already confirmed that they've had conversations with Terence Crawford. I actually saw the video. Now, Crawford should be fighting before the end of the summer. Whether he fights the winner of Tszú Fundora or if he pivots and does something different, I don't know. But one thing we know for sure is he'll be fighting before the end of the summer. It's not his fault that he's inactive. He does want to fight. Errol Spence and Crawford, they were supposed to be fighting this spring, but shit happened. And they were going to fight for that vacant WBC belt initially at 154 pounds. But it's unfortunate with Errol Spence and the eye injury, and now Terence Crawford out here trying to figure out what his next move is going to be, trying to get a fight. But it's kind of frustrated. It's kind of frustrating to see what has happened, because Terence Crawford, to reach, I would say, the pinnacle of his weight division, and I would say even of the sport, becoming a two-time undisputed. Undisputed is one thing, but twice, that's a big deal. But I just think it says right here. I think some of these not commission, these sanctioning bodies, the presidents of these sanctioning bodies, I think even they had high hopes to see Spence and Crawford get into a rematch, and for them to try to figure something out when it fell apart. And I think that what Crawford wanted was for him to fight Tim Tszú before Keith Thurman. But Keith Thurman, somehow, the way it worked out, Keith Thurman happened to get there first and get the contract going first. But we're going to see what happens now going forward as far as Crawford and what his moves are going to be. But what it sounds like to me is Terence Crawford, who I call Southpaw Man, because once he goes in the phone booth and comes out as a Southpaw, he kicks everybody's ass. It sounds to me like Terence Crawford has all the support in the world from Errol Spence, from PBC, from Showtime, from the sanctioning bodies. So Terence Crawford is in a very, very good space. So that's good to hear and good to know. And Errol Spence seems to be in a good space too, just making sure that he's going to be 100% healthy. And Errol Spence does plan on returning to the sport. When? I don't know, but Errol Spence does plan to return to the sport, which is all good news for me, because now it provides a little clarity on what was going on, what is currently going on, and what we can expect in the future. That being said, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.